Okay, so let's go ahead and get started here. And tonight we're going to be talking about sales pages. We're going to talk about sales pages. Now, one of the first things you're going to do, obviously, is you're going to, in the same way, even before you start editing the sales pages, is you want to go ahead and upload your sales pages to the server. And that's going to work the very same way as we've been working with the sales pages before. I'm going to grab the sales pages here in this area. And I'm just going to grab the sales letter and thank you page. Here's the sales page. Here are all our sales page files. So I'm going to go ahead and just open up our FileZilla. And what you're going to do when you get your server up and loaded, I'm going to load this off camera. And then once I get into this, once I get into my site, then I'm going to come back on. And let's see, I think we are there. Okay, we're now open. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go inside of the public HTML folder. And then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go inside of this folder again that says 60 minutes. Now we've already set up a squeeze page there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to delete those files for now. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload the website files to that directory. Right now, you would obviously create and choose a directory that you want it to be. I'm placing this in the same directory that we were working in before. I'm just going to drag and drop those files into the directory. And once I drag and drop those files into the directory, I can then click copy URL to clipboard. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up an incognito browser here inside of Internet Explorer. And you can do whichever one you want. I'm going to change this URL. I'm going to change this URL here. Make sure we have the HTTP. And then click enter. And then we have our content. Right, so there are our sales pages. Now, obviously, our buttons we don't have anything in the button area. So once we do that, we're going to edit our pages using our HTML editor. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the file where those sales pages are, and then I'm going to edit the index file. And I'm going to go and open this with, now I'm using Dreamweaver. You can use whatever HTML editor that you want to use. I'm going to open this up with Adobe Dreamweaver. And that's going to give me this index file. I'm going to close these others here. And remember, I always want to use the split screen between the actual page and then the code here. Right, and so the way this works in Dreamweaver, and generally any HTML software that you're going to be working with, if I highlight a particular word, you're going to see that same word highlighted inside of the code. I can go to the code and do the same thing. I can do it backwards. If I want to highlight something in the code, then Dreamweaver will find that on the HTML page. Now, if you're going to be doing an upsell, you can upload the upsell page also. One of the things that you want to do if you're going to make changes to a sales page is you need to decide ahead of time what you're going to change. And here's what I mean by that. I'm going to go back to this page. I'm going to look at this page, and I'm going to want to know what I'm going to write in. For example, I'm going to want to change any of this paragraph or any of these words. I'm going to want to know that ahead of time. I'm going to want to know what I'm going to be doing to these subhead lines. If I want to change one of the images, I'm going to want to know that ahead of time, right? And I'm going to know what I want to write here. And that's going to be pretty important because you don't want to start working with the code and making decisions about what you want to write while you're doing it. you really want to have an idea of what you want to say before you actually say it. Because again, then the changes are actually going to be able to go fast, and then we're going to be able to focus on doing things like adding in our bonus. Okay, now to make things easier, you want to try to make your changes in the code and not in the WYSIWYG. Well, let me show you what I mean by that. Now, if I'm going to make changes to any of this content, I really don't want to write those changes in here and start making changes in the WYSIWYG editor. I'd much rather make the changes inside of the code, because it's going to be easy for us to walk or in other words, code over something. It's very easy to do that. For example, if I put my cursor here, and let's say that what I do is I then start to delete the periods, I could delete this paragraph line without meaning to. And then what's going to happen is I'm going to change the shape of the page, and that's not what you want to do. I'm going to actually now go back to undo delete. And you're going to see now that this paragraph notation is back in there. And again, if I do that, I'm going to make sure I keep the structure of the page, and I'm going to keep the general look of the page. And so if I want to keep the general look of the page, I can make the changes, even though I'm going to be changing the same words, I want to make them here and not in this area. So let's say that I want to change this from constantly struggling to, if you're struggling, to do instead of write your own content. Now let's say then that I want to see what that's going to look like after I've made the changes in the code. All I need to do then is I'm going to then click inside of this WYSIWYG area. You're going to see that change, right? But you want to make the edits here inside of the code if you can. Now that might mean that you're going to need to know a little HTML, but even if you don't know HTML, you can pretty much see where the words are. And if you can tell where the words are, all you've got to do is highlight them. You'll be able to see them inside of this area, right? So let's say we want to change how to create tons of quality content, not high quality content. I'm going to make the changes in the code. I'm going to see it here. You'll notice here that I've still got the word high quality content, but then once I've made this change, all I've got to do is I've got to click inside of here. You're going to see that high, the word high, go away. Right, so again, anytime you want to make changes, you can highlight them here, then go to the code and make the change. And it says if you can speak it, I'm going to then take this then out. I'm going to make this a semicolon. Now I'm not going to see the change here, remember, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click inside of here, and then I can see the change in terms of what it's going to look like. Now, if I want to make changes and I want to tell what those changes are going to look like as I go, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to save this page as something. And just as I did before, I'm going to make this the number 2 then index. And then I'm going to click save. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to now go back to my folder. And if I want to know what this page is going to look like inside of my browser, all I've got to do then is click this link to the HTML page, and then my browser is going to pull up that page. Right, and then we can see some of the changes that we've made here, and we can see them as we go. You can see the colon we put there. You can see the content that we've changed there. What you can also see is that I have retained the basic structure of the page. So I haven't lost the structure of the page. And the way that I do that is I make sure that when I'm making the changes, right, when I'm making the changes, I'm making the change inside of the code. Right? So if I want to change, let's say I want to change this part of the headline. want a faster way to develop content, right? And so I'm not gonna make the change up here, even though I can, right? Because again, what's easy for me to do? Let's say that I put my cursor here and that what I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to eliminate some things here. You'll notice that I have the italics here. And what I can do almost by accident is I can then click that. And you'll notice how the line has changed, right? Well, that's easy to do if I do that inside of here, right? And what happens here is you'll notice then that I start getting a little code mixed up here when if I just make the changes inside of the code, it's going to be easier for me to keep track of what's happening. Okay, so now for the sake of going back, I'm going to undo edit source. That's going to bring that back. I'm going to undo delete. That's going to bring that back. So instead of making those changes up there, what am I going to do? I'm going to place my cursor here. And then I'm going to write in here what I want it to be and make the changes here. Want a better way. If I want to see it, I'm going to click inside of the page, and then I see my changes inside of the page. Okay, so now what I want to do is, remember, one of the things that I suggest that you do with all of your PLR offers is you add in a bonus. And so what I need to do then is I need to find a place where I can add in a bonus easily, right? So what if I go back here? Well, let's take a look at the page again to see where we might add in a bonus, right? There's the introduction. Okay, I might add in my bonus here. Right? So really, instead of working with this image, now again, this is a second call to action, but I'm actually going to change this call to action to my bonus, right? Maybe that's what I want to do. So I'm going to have to take note of a couple of things. Number one, I'm going to want to know the dimensions of this image. Now I can look inside of my folder and I can find out what those dimensions are. So I'm going to go inside of there. I'm going to go inside of my images. And then I'm just going to hover over that image if I'm in Windows. I'm going to see that this image is going to be 1,000. Let's go back. It's going to be 1,000 by 731. Right? So in general, I don't want my image to be bigger than that. I can have my image to be smaller than that. Right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to this area of my document. I'm going to do that inside the HTML. I'm going to go to the sales page. I'm now going to go back and look at this here. And I want to find that spot in my page. Okay, so we've got this image in here. And what you're going to notice here is that it doesn't really resize the image. So that's going to be a true size of the image, right? So 1,000 by 731 is the size of the image. What we don't want to do is we don't want to mess with this image too much so that we change the structure of the page, right? So what are we going to do here? What do we notice here? Well, one of the things we notice is that this area of our page sources an image. It sources images /combo.png. Right, so let's find that inside of our folder. Right, and so here is that image. It's combo.png, and remember, this image is going to be 1,000 by 731. So what am I going to do here? I'm going to find an image. And let's say that we work with this image. This image is going to be 500 by 315. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go back to my folder. I'm going to add in the image of my bonus. right? So what am I going to do now? Well, I'm going to change the name of this bonus offer, right? Just so that, and I like to make sure that there are no spaces in there, right? Just less that I'll have an opportunity to mess up. So now I've got an image here that's called bonus dash offer. Right? What am I going to do now? Well, I'm going to go to where this image is. I'm going to change this. I'm now going to make this not combo.png. I'm going to change this in the code to bonus dash offer. And Dreamweaver has already found the image. So all I've got to do is click that. Okay, so now I've got this change. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to click inside of this area so I can see it in the page. Right, and that's kind of small, but it's there. Now, what I want to do now is I want to save this. I'm going to save this as this page. I'm going to overwrite that. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm now going to then check that page. Okay, so the page is the same. And now I should have my bonus image there. And there it is. So what do I want to do now? Well, now what I want to do is I want to change this text so that it says something about and get this awesome bonus or something like that, right? So I'm going to go back here. And I'm now going to go back to my edit screen. I'm going to go back to this index page where I've been editing. I'm going to go back to that section. Actually, I want to go to index 2, yeah. I just want to change the text to this. Now, this is the easiest way for me to add in a bonus. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my split screen where I can see the code and design at the same time. I'm going to double click this so I can find the code. Right, so there's my code. Click this button now to get to this instant access. So what do I want to do? Well, maybe click the button now to let's say, also get access to, I'm going to change this where it says instant access. I'm going to say that. Also get access to this. And now I'm going to change this wording that says bonus video training. I'm going to call video training. I'm going to call this bonus video course on Bitcoin. I'm going to click in here. Okay, that doesn't look exactly the way I want. So I'm going to need to know a little bit of code. What I'm going to do is I'm either going to take some of this wording out of here, and I can do that very easily. If I go inside the code, I delete that text, and then I've got some text here where I have added in my bonus. If you're with me on adding in the bonus to our sales page, right? So pretty much what you want to do is find an easy place to put your bonus in there, right? So it's not always going to be obvious. Every sales page is going to be different. You want to do this in the easiest possible way that you can if you don't know HTML code. Now, if you know HTML code, then of course you can just go right into the code and you can redo the code to make sure that you understand and you'll have it there where you want it. However, if you don't know HTML code, you're going to want to try to find an easy place where you can add in an image as well as change the text. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to save this. And then I'm going to go back. I'm going to check my page again. I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom. Also get access to this bonus video course, and then I've got my bonus image, and then I've got my pay button. Right? I can also place some text at the bottom if I want to, right? I could place some text underneath there, and I could be getting a little ambitious there, but I could do that, right? So all I got to do here is find my image, find a divider, and then I want to put that image, I want to put that text right underneath this image. I can also do that. Okay, so we've looked for an easy way to add in a bonus. Typically means copying one section and pasting it in. In this case, all we did was we added in an image. We also paid attention to the image size, right? We made sure that our image was not going to be larger than the space because we don't want to break the frame. Okay, so now the last thing we need to do to this sales page is we're going to need to decide on how we're going to take payment. And we will discuss that in the last section of this course on mapping and testing, right? And then we'll also do the last thing, which is to place the button code on your sales page to finish the process. Okay, so we're going to talk about mapping your buy buttons today. And this is going to be the wrap-up session. So we're going to be talking about where to go to get your buy button, using an affiliate network, using a shopping cart, using PayPal, the PayPal connection walkthrough, and then using your autoresponder as a backup system. Okay, so first let's talk about where do you go to get your buy button. And you do need to make a decision first on where you want to have your product paid for and where you will get your buy link. Seems like a relatively elementary decision, but it is one that will determine how you're going to do your setup. For example, and we're not going over it in this session, but you can set up something like SendOwl if you want to take Bitcoin, right? So let's say that you don't want to take dollars, you want to take Bitcoin or some other cryptocurrency. You can do that on SendOwl. You can also, of course, use PayPal for dollars from most countries. So depending on where you are in the world, you're probably going to use PayPal. And if you don't use PayPal, you can use Stripe. And typically, if you're going to use Stripe, you're going to have typically some kind of third-party intermediary that will turn Stripe's coding into your buy button, right? But if you have Stripe, you have PayPal. If you want to use Bitcoin, you can do all of those three mediums. And you can use any of these merchants, but if you decide not to use them exclusively, let's say you decide you don't want to use PayPal exclusively, what you can do is you can use an affiliate network in order to deliver your product, in order to facilitate payment. And typically, if you're going to do that, you can do that on an affiliate network, and you're going to use some affiliate network like JVZoo, Warrior Plus, Thrivecart, and I don't have it in here, but you can also use ClickBank. It's a little different from some of the others, but it is an affiliate network where you can set up your product ahead of time, and you can recruit affiliates, and you can make sure that the product gets delivered, and you can take payment. Right? That's pretty much what has to happen between now and what we need to do here at the end. Let's talk a little bit about using an affiliate network to sell your product. Okay, one of the things about using an affiliate network is that you are fully disclosing your statistics, right? So if you want to make sure, if what you're trying to do is you're trying to make sure that your affiliates see how well your product is selling, because that is how they're going to determine whether or not they're going to promote your product or not, right? So even if, right, even if you decide that you're going to only use the network, and you're only going to use the network in order to deliver your product. If you're going to have all these settings turned on, you're going to be putting your statistics. You're going to be listing your statistics to the public, right? And you will. The thing about using an affiliate network like JVZoo Warrior Plus is that you are not going to pay up front to sell your product. Now, if you decide to use ClickBank, you are going to have to pay a fee up front, right? There's some ways around that, but you're always going to have to pay at least that initial fee. I think it used to be $50. Not sure what it is today. You're going to pay that up front to sell your product. You do not have to do that on affiliate networks like JVZoo Warrior Plus. Okay, you're going to pay a fee for every sale that you make. You're going to pay a percentage, right? So everything you sell on JVZoo, you're going to pay 5%. I think on Warrior Plus, you're going to pay between 3 and 5%. And that's going to be what the affiliate network does. Now, you're paying that fee for some convenience. We're going to talk about that here in a minute. Now, on JVZoo Warrior Plus, affiliates are typically promoting because they expect to be paid instantly. That's one of the things about these affiliate networks is that you're typically going to have more affiliates to promote you because they're looking to be paid instantly, right, using JVZoo Warrior Plus. Now, you may not even be recruiting affiliates, but if you decide to, and you want to have them to be able to promote the product you're going to be selling, then using these affiliate networks are going to be the smart way to go, because you're going to get the people who want to get paid instantly when they make a sale. So every sale, you're also going to pay a fee to PayPal. Right, so that's not going to be all rolled into one. So in other words, you're going to pay that 5% fee to the affiliate network. You're also going to pay a fee to PayPal, right? So again, those are going to be two fees that you're going to be using. Now again, if you use just PayPal, you're obviously not going to be paying that additional fee on every sale. Right now, you will not have to set up your funnel manually if you use an affiliate network. So in other words, the software does everything. So all you got to do is put the right pieces in the right place. You can then have your funnel set up, and then when somebody makes a purchase on the front end, they're automatically going to be shown the upsell, and they're automatically going to have their product delivered to them. Right? This does not happen automatically with PayPal or some other merchant. Right? But we'll talk about that here in a minute. Now, if you use an affiliate network, one of the benefits of using one is that they make it easy for you to connect your after-sale autoresponder. So in other words, what you're trying to do is you want to make a sale and you want to have an individual added to your list, then the affiliate networks make it easy to do that. It's a drop-down window, and pretty much you're just going to drag and drop everything in there, and that's one of the benefits that you're paying for when you pay that 5%. Right? So if you're with me so far, please put the number 1 in the question box if you understand what I'm saying so far about affiliate networks. Right now, what an affiliate network does, it also makes it easy to lock up your content with membership software. So in other words, let's say you're going to use something like, I know you're going to use something like Wishlist Member. Well, there are areas of these affiliate networks where they will use the API to connect to the membership software. Right, so using an affiliate network makes it easy for you to lock up your content if that is what you're going to do. Now, you can decide not to use an affiliate network. You could decide to use a shopping cart or shopping cart system. I think there was one that was on sale this week. I don't know if you purchased it, but a shopping cart system. You can use one like ThriveCart, like ThriveCart. Now, here's where ThriveCart is different. ThriveCart, you will not pay a fee to ThriveCart every time you make a sale. So again, you make a sale on JVZoo. JVZoo is going to take that 5%. Okay, it's a convenience fee for all their software and everything that they're doing. On ThriveCart, you will not pay a fee for every sale. You will pay a fee outright for the shopping cart. Now, I don't think they're on a monthly basis. I think that the fee as of the recording of this video right now is going to be $595 for the cart, right? So you would pay that fee to basically purchase access to ThriveCart, and then every time you make a sale, you're not going to pay ThriveCart anymore for the sales you make. Right now, the thing about ThriveCart is that the affiliates can still be paid instantly, right? That's one of the advantages that JVZoo Warrior Plus has, but ThriveCart, they can still be paid instantly. Again, this is a shopping cart, and I'm talking about ThriveCart, but you can pretty much substitute in any shopping cart that's already out there. I think there's something called Sam Cart. There's something called Groove Cart that's a little recent. Any of those carts are going to allow you to designate or to determine how your affiliates are going to be paid. And since affiliates are more enthusiastic in their promotion when they think they're going to be paid instantly, then you want to be able to offer them that, and you can do that with ThriveCart. In ThriveCart, there's no affiliate marketplace. The reason that that's important is that your statistics are not going to be disclosed openly to the affiliates, right? The entire product statistics. Okay, you will get your buy button code from the software. So in other words, when you get a shopping cart, it's just like going to be just like Warrior Plus. You're going to get your buy button code from inside of ThriveCart. And typically, if you're going to be locking up your content, you're going to be locking it down. You want to make sure it's going to be working with the membership software. So in other words, if you're going to go with a shopping cart like ThriveCart, you want to verify that it's going to work with whatever membership software you've already purchased. Specifically, if you go out and you're paying on a monthly basis to a specific software system, you do want to, if you can, right? If you can, you want to make sure that the shopping cart you're using is going to match up with it, because typically a membership software is going to be like something like a $300 or $400 investment. You don't want to just not use it because of your shopping cart. If you can, you want to get a shopping cart that integrates with your membership software. You are also going to want to connect your autoresponder to your shopping cart. If you're using something like ThriveCart, there are easy ways for you to connect your autoresponder. So as you start thinking about a shopping cart and you're going to actually go out and make a purchase for one up front, or you want to pay for one on a monthly basis because you don't want to pay a fee every time you sell something, then you're going to want to make sure that whatever autoresponder you're using, it does connect to your shopping cart, so that when somebody makes a sale, so that when you make a sale, right, you want to have that person added to your email marketing list. Okay? All right, so are you with me so far? So if you're with me so far, please put the number 2 in the question box if you understand what I'm saying. So far, so good. Right? Okay, I'm going to move on now. I'm going to move on, and let's talk about using PayPal or a merchant of some kind. Now, in most cases, and we're going to go over this mostly tonight, you can choose to use PayPal as your merchant and shopping cart at the same time. And regardless of how you do it, you are going to pay a transaction fee to PayPal, right? So when you get your product sells for $13, you're going to notice that PayPal will show you that you got, I don't know, $12 and some change, and that they basically took a certain amount out of it for their own fee, right? And so now, when you choose to use something like, you choose to use PayPal as your shopping cart, you are going to need to be tracking your sales, and you're going to need to pay your affiliates manually, right? You can use third-party software systems. I think there's something called iDev Affiliate. There's also something here that we have listed called WP Affiliates. I don't have an affiliate link, but that is where it is. Right now, you are going to need to know what you want to accomplish ahead of time before you start working with PayPal, right? So again, so let's say you're already done with the sales page, you made all your edits, and now you're just going to connect the button. You want to know what you're going to do ahead of time. Let me explain to you what I mean by that. For example, as soon as the buyer makes the first purchase, let's say they purchase your front-end product, what do you want them to see right after that? Right? Do you have an upsell? Or do you want them to be sent straight to the download page? Again, that's your choice. You do not have to send them to an upsell. You can do this however you want, but you do need to know ahead of time what you're going to do. How is the buyer going to get their product? Are you going to make sure they get the download link by email? Or do you want to make sure, belts and suspenders, that they're sent straight to the download page once they make the purchase? Again, that is going to be your choice. It is doable inside of PayPal. You want to make sure if you're going to have an upsell, you want to know then, based on what we just talked about, well, how's the buyer going to see your upsell? Are they going to see it in the first email? Are they going to see it as soon as they make the purchase? Again, but there is no one size fits all. Now, there may be something that you're used to experiencing, But you do not have to do it that way if that's what you are not comfortable with and you don't want to do it, or you have a business reason for not wanting to do it. And this is really important. How are you going to get a double opt-in confirm email? Right now, when you decide that you are going to use an after-sale autoresponder, what's going to happen is that your customer is going to get an email in their box. It's going to say, join my list, and they're not going to know what that's from. You are very much unlikely to get someone to go to your email, open it, click the confirm link to become part of your list and get marketed to. That is not what they're going to do. So typically what you're going to be doing is you're going to be using single opt-in when you make a purchase. Now, you should be giving those people a message as soon as they become part of your list. So in other words, the autoresponder adds that person, right, when you make a sale, and then that autoresponder on day 0 should be sending out an email from you basically saying, you know, we'll talk about this here in a minute, what you're gonna put in there, but it's gonna send them the download link, right? And you're also going to get them double opt-in. You're going to get them single opt-in confirmed, but we're going to want to work a little harder to get that double opt-in, right? So let's talk about first how we're going to map this out. Okay, so you're going to first go to your PayPal system. I am looking right now at PayPal Standard in case that's what you have. Now, many of you have the business version of PayPal. It's going to be the same. When you get inside of PayPal, you're going to find the place where you create buttons for your website. You're going to then go to create a button, and then you're going to go inside of this create PayPal button. You're going to fill in the information. You're going to give your PayPal item a name. You're probably not going to use add to cart, right? So you're going to want to change that drop-down menu to, I think it's buy now. You're going to put your price in there. And you're going to make sure then that the person, you're going to use your secure merchant ID. Now, here's the most important thing, and I think we were talking about this before, that you want to be certain of what goes here. And this is where the mapping comes in. Notice down here, the very last URL, it says take the customers to this URL when they check out. This is where you will decide, based on where you map your product, what happens when the person purchases your product on PayPal, right? Are they going to be sent to the upsell? Are they going to be sent to let's say a thank you page? Are they going to be sent to a download page? You will determine the URL that goes in this space when you're creating the product, right? We are inside of PayPal. We are looking at putting in an URL based on where we want them to go. Again, please do not think that you have to use an upsell just because you got an upsell page. I know that people that are fundamentally opposed to upsells, which is fine. That is the beauty of being able to use PLR in the way in which you want to determine what the offer is, because you can put up however you want to. You can put the front end and the upsell in the same offer if you want to. It really doesn't. It's really up to you in terms of how you want to do it. Once you complete all that information, PayPal is going to send you to a page where it says add button code to your web page. You're going to see two sides of this area. You're going to see a side that says website. You're going to see another side that says email. You are going to grab the email link, right? When you grab that email link, that's the email, or that's the link you're going to take back to your sales page. But before I do that, I want to then just talk to you a little bit about using your autoresponder as a backup system, right? And we sort of we touched on this before. You definitely want to make sure that your autoresponder, right, whatever you're using, is going to be connected at the point of sale. Now, again, if you're going to be using, an autoresponder that maybe isn't going to be one of the names that are going to be connected, you might want to consider that. Right? Consider these kinds of things, because if you're making a sale, you definitely need to be adding to your list. If your autoresponder is not doing that, you might want to consider using one that does, unless you can do this with your autoresponder. Right now, if there's no direct connection between your autoresponder and PayPal, try to establish one with Zapier. Right, you can try to establish a connection with Zapier. You want to make sure that autoresponder sends them a first-time email, and you're going to send this in addition. Now, even if you have membership software, you should make sure that they get this first autoresponder email in addition to that. So do not depend on the transaction email saying, you know, they paid X amount, and then because they paid X amount, they got this link. You should still be sending them. And again, I realize this is belt to suspenders. I understand that this is going to give someone one more email. However, it is a fail-safe. It is a backup system. When someone does not get your email, they don't get their product, you should be sending something from your autoresponder to make sure that they get something from you, even if it's just to say, hey, if you've got a problem, come to our support here, right? You can use that first email as an opportunity to do an introduction, right? So that first, again, they're going to get the transactional email. They're going to get a link to click on, hopefully, but they may not get it. And so you're going to use this not only as a backup system, but you're also going to use it as an opportunity to introduce yourself. Tell them about, you know, how you came to sell the product and what you're going to be doing with them. Now, one more important thing about this, we talked about this earlier, but when you make this sale, you want to make sure that the list automation takes them off the prospect list, right? And again, this is something that we talked about earlier in the series. So make sure that that happens. Also, here's an extra step that I think you want to take. Now, if you can get them to opt in a second time, you want to make sure that that second opt-in is also an automation sequence that takes them off the single opt-in transaction list, right? Again, and I want to say that again because it's an extra step, and I think that if you can do it, you should do it. You want to, here's how you would get them to opt in a second time. You're going to put a form on your download page, and you're going to say to them if they want an additional update, if they want an additional bonus, an additional video, a bonus video, something in their best interest, then you'll send it to them, and you just want them to put in their name and email address. They will then confirm in order to get that additional video. And then if they confirm and become part of your double opt-in list, you want to then use automation to take them off the single opt-in list, right? Let's see, I've got a question here. It says, I had a new member the other day where only the JVZoo receipt went out. So immediate follow-up impressed her instead of being upset. Yeah, exactly, right? So really when you can, and this is something that if you can do, and I think this is Dana that's saying this, it's something that you absolutely should do because it is a backup system. And nobody knows. Listen, these things happen to us, and even though something should work all the time, they just don't always work all the time. There are any number of things. It could be the way they're interacting with your WordPress site or your HTML. It could be anything. Right? So try to, if you can, use that autoresponder as a backup system. Now, that first email is also a good time to say, listen, here's what else you're going to be doing. Now, if you're going to be emailing them, it's a great opportunity to say, hey, you know what? In this email, I'm going to be sending you emails on a daily basis. Now, somebody might say, oh man, I'm getting off this list now. But you don't want them to start getting email from you and then be surprised about it, right? So again, everything that you can do to communicate up front in this email, plus have it be a backup system, would be just awesome. And one of the things that you want to note about this, if you're going to use an autoresponder, with PayPal, right? The autoresponder is going to limit what you can do inside of PayPal. Right. So again, so even though PayPal is going to be simpler, it's going to be cleaner. You've got one space for your IPN, and you will not be able to do anything else with your IPN other than when you use it for this product. So again, you have to kind of weigh that out if you're going to use it that way, or this autoresponder. Now, one workaround to that is to use Zapier as the IPN connection. Then you can have a lot of different, different options with your IPN. Okay, and just briefly, I just want to kind of talk you through this process. We have this email link, right, that we picked up, and so we're going to go back and link it to the button on the sales page, right? And I just want to kind of say this: if you decide to use JVZoo Warrior Plus, I'm gonna suggest that you don't try to use those links with your own button. I know people do it. If you are recruiting affiliates, you can have situations where your affiliates won't get credit and won't get paid because they're going to end up with their stats wrong. So the only way you can really assure that this is going to happen, and even this is not a 100% sure, is you want to use the JVZoo Warrior Plus button that they give you. Again, you can just link out to the button you have, but I would suggest that you don't. I would suggest you go ahead and use their button unless there's a business reason for you not to. Right now, one other thing, just kind of a minor thing before we move on to the sales page. If you're gonna be using an upsell page, you're gonna have a no thanks link. You want to make sure that you link from that no thanks link to your thank you or sales page. So in other words, they come to the upsell page, they decide not to buy it. They're gonna say, hey, no thanks. You want to make sure when they click that no thanks link that you set up the no thanks link to link to your thank you page, right, or your download page. Okay, now one more thing we want to do. So let's kind of go back to our sales page. And I'm going to open up this sales page because now you should have your link, right? And all you're going to really do, right, is you're going to, one of the easiest ways to do this inside of Dreamweaver is I like to click right on top of this button. And then I just like to go to the properties, right? So I'll go to Windows. I'll go to Properties. And then I like to place the link inside of that area that says Link to Buy button. Right, that's the easiest way to put it in. Now, in this case, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put in here Google, but you would put in your buy button link. And then all you have to do is close out the properties button. You can then find your other buy button, click on top of it. Then you're going to insert. Actually, what you're going to do is you're going to go to the window again. That's what we did before. Go to the Windows, go to Properties, put that link in there. Okay, any questions overall? Let's see. Okay, so let's take this part out. Okay, which kind of autoresponder beside ClickFunnels gives you the opportunity to make a thank you page that says your download is in progress? Please watch this video below. Okay, so basically what you're doing is you're using some coding so that a person has to watch the video before they get their download. Do I understand that correctly? Or is it while they're getting their download? Because if it's while they're getting it, and I will say something about this actually. Right, yeah. I generally, and this is a little more aggressive than I personally like. Right now, what I would prefer is that I would get my download as soon as I got to the thank you page. Right, and I think you can do that in ClickFunnels. I'm thinking that you can do that on lead pages. I just don't know if it's what you want to do. Right, I think that you want to put that video on your download page. I think you want to give them that link also. And because in general, as I understand it, PayPal does not necessarily like anybody getting between them and what they purchased, right? So in other words, what marketers used to do is they used to put a bridge page between when the person actually made the purchase. They send them to a bridge page and say, hey, put your name and email address in here, and then they would send them to the download page. And PayPal really frowned on that. And so in general, I think that PayPal kind of frowns on getting between somebody and their download. And personally, I'm not a big fan of doing that. Right? I would prefer that I would prefer that I got my download when I made the purchase, and I get there as soon as I can. You didn't make me do anything in order to get it. Right, but yeah, I don't know if you can do that outside of ClickFunnels. I think you can do that with lead pages, and ClickFunnels is unique in that it has an autoresponder and it is a paging system, right? So they have the two bundled together. There are some other systems that are available. I personally use Optimized Press and Aweber, but they are separate systems. There are systems where you can buy them together. ClickFunnels is unique in that both are together. Right? That's a great question. Okay, so you're saying, okay, it's a bridge page, but it does not block them from their purchase. Well, I mean, you could do that. You could do that with the thank you page you have. So let's say you decided not to use ClickFunnels, right? Let's just say you went to this page. Let's just open this page up. Okay, let's say what we would want to do here is we want to put a video in here, right? We could put the video right here. So for example, let's say that we want to put the video up here after thank you for your purchase, right? So let's go here. Let's just get a video. And let's pick up the Matrix. Let's click the share button. Let's click the embed code. All right, so we're going to grab this embed code and copy it. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to this thank you page. I'm going to go open with and I'm going to try to put this right under here after this H4 tag. And what I'm going to do is I know a little bit of code. I'm just going to put a break code in there. And let's put another break code in there. And then I'm going to put that video code in there. I'm going to make sure that video code is centered. See, it did not like that. Take that out. Okay, let's see how this looks. Okay, so here's my video here. And so I'm gonna write in here. I'm gonna write it here. Thanks for your purchase. Now watch this special video for a bonus webinar. Let's see, and I probably want to break that. So I'm going to, I think I'm going to break here. Okay, and I'm going to take this break code out. So, okay, so now I have on my page here, and let's go ahead and save this. Okay, so here's the download. But the first thing you're going to see is watch this video. So you don't really need to have like, you don't have to have ClickFunnels to do this. You can do this on your PLR sales, your PLR download page, right? And then they still get the download on that page. And then coming into Get Response, I'm going to use Firefox. And one thing about Get Response, and I said this a few minutes ago, is that you're going to need to use Firefox and not Chrome. Chrome does not respond properly. And we're going to start with the messages that we have in our system. Right? So in this case, we have messages inside of this PLR package. In this case, the messages are here, the credibility email boosting system. This is the 5-day series. And here is our email. So what we're going to do now is we're going to come inside of Get Response. We're going to start by creating an autoresponder. We're going to choose one of our lists. So in this case, you can either create a separate list for your prospects, and in most cases, you're going to want to do that first. So why don't we do that? Why don't we first create a separate list for our prospects? Inside of Get Response, we can do that by going to this drop-down arrow. And I can click Create Campaign. I'm going to call this campaign Prospect List. I'm going to click Create Campaign. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here. I'm now going to create an autoresponder. And now I'm going to use that list. I'm going to create an autoresponder message on day 1 for the list we just created, which is prospect list. I'm now going to create a new email. I'm going to title this email the same thing as the subject line. Track your time with Evernote. I'm going to save this. I'm going to go to the next step. I'm going to click Start from Scratch. Now that's going to be peculiar just to Get Response. It may look differently inside of your autoresponder. But in general, you're going to start with a blank template, and you're going to send emails in a plain system. Right? That's going to open up into the Get Response email template, hopefully here in a minute. And what I'm now going to do is I'm going to drag and drop this text box into Get Response. I'm going to take out the Latin text. I'm just going to cut and paste this email to the area. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out this text. I generally, like I said, I like to take that out and just put a name. I'm going to substitute this area for my link to my product. Okay, so this is 16 point. One thing we can do is we can personalize this. In get response, all you'll do is go to this area. And I like to have the first name in there. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to save this. We're then going to go to the next step. Actually, first, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the plain text. We're going to convert this to plain text for those who receive only plain text emails. And you do need to do that inside of your autoresponder. So then I'm just going to space it out in the plain text side. That's not what I want to do. Okay, so now we have this done in the plain text side. What we can now do is we can go to our next step. And now our autoresponder message for day 1 has been created. Right, so now what I want to do? Well, I want to now create a message for day 2 so that the person, when they sign up, they're going to get one message a day promoting our product. And this is going to be the list they're going to be opted into when they come through our squeeze page. So what I want to do now is I now want to create a new message, right? Actually, I want to go back here. What I want to now do is I want to create a new message for day 2, right? And I want this message to be for day 2, this new one. And I'm now going to go through the same process. I'm not going to go back through this, and I'm going to go through this process for each of the emails. 1 through 5, or however many you have. You want to set up your emails so that you set them up for days 1 through 5. So if you're with me so far, please put the letter Y in the question box when setting up your autoresponders. Okay, so now what we have here is we have a series of messages for our prospects. What we also want to do is we want to have a message set up for the person who's going to buy the product. What I've done here is I've written a message that I'm going to place inside of on the download page. Okay, so this message is very basic. The message says, thanks for picking up whatever the product is. If you haven't yet seen your download, you can access it here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give them the download link in that very first email. I'm also going to tell them, hopefully by now you've picked up the advanced version or whatever you call the upsell. You're going to give them the link to the upsell in the first email. You're also going to give them a support address and support email address. And if you have anything like a Facebook page or a YouTube channel, you want to add that in. Very simple message, and that's the very first message that you want people to get when they buy your product. Okay, so if you're with me right now, just based on what I've said, please put the number 2 in the question box. You understand this very first email and what it should be. Okay, very good. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to copy this email. I'm going to start a new list. I'm going to start a different autoresponder for a different list. Let's say that what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to create an autoresponder now for the list, which is going to be new for the person that buys the product, right? So I'm going to create this new list. I'm going to create a campaign. I'm going to call this campaign New Product and I'm going to create this campaign. I'm now going to create another autoresponder. I want this to be for day 1 of the list I just created. I'm going to go through the same process. I'm going to now create a new email. I'm going to give this message a name. Thanks for purchasing our content. I'm going to save it. I'm going to go to the next step. I'm going to pretty much go through the same process now, except now I'm putting this new email so that the person gets this email as soon as they opt in. Or I'm sorry, as soon as they buy the product. This is what they're doing right now. So we're going to give them this email. As soon as they buy, they should be getting this email from our autoresponder because we're going to set it up so that the person ends up on this email as soon as they make the purchase. Now, we're also going to be covered in case they don't want to have an email come to them when they, when they buy. We're gonna cover that by making sure that we add an opt-in box to our download page. And we're going to do that in another step. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take out our text again. I'm going to now cut and paste. Right, there's our text. I'm going to now personalize this. And I'm going to now do the plain text. I'm going to do HTML to plain. And I'm just going to space out the text. And we're now going to close this. And we're going to save it. And we're now going to go to the next step. Okay, so we've now got message 1 for this new list. Okay, so if you're with me so far, please put the number 3 in the question box. If you're with me so far on creating a new email for the purchase. Okay, so now we have our new email so that when the person purchases, they're going to see that email come to them. We're also going to give them an opportunity to opt in on our download page by asking them to get updates. Okay, now let's close out this email. Okay, so we have set up our prospect list. We have set up a separate list for the buyers of our product now. Now what we need to do is we need to set up the automation rules for the buyers list. And we need to do that inside of GetResponse. So what are we going to do here? We're going to go now to automation. Let's see, let's make sure we save this. And basically what we're going to do now is we're going to create a workflow. Now inside of GetResponse, here's what we're going to be doing. I'm going to call this remove from prospect list. And inside of GetResponse, I'm going to start the automation process when someone is subscribed to a specific list. Right? I don't know if you can see that. Let me see if I can size this up a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to start the process of automation when somebody is subscribed to a specific list. Right now, I'm going to determine what that list is going to be. I'm going to say that when someone is subscribed to by any method and any campaign, we're going to select the campaign and we're going to select specifically the buyers list. Okay, so when somebody is subscribed to the buyers list, what do I want to happen? Well, what I want to happen is I want them to be taken off the prospect list automatically so that the person isn't getting 2 emails. So what I'm going to do now is I'm now going to say remove the contact. So in this automation, I'm going to place this automation flow here. I'm going to now select the properties. I'm going to say now remove this person from a specific campaign. I'm going to say remove the person now from our prospect list. I'm going to connect this automation. So now what I'm saying is whenever somebody becomes a buyer, if they're on our prospect list, remove them so that they are only going to be getting 1 campaign. Is everybody with me right now? So if you understand what I did, please put the number 4 in the question box. Okay, if you don't understand, please let me know, and I'll be happy to explain it to you. Okay, so that's really all that we need to do. Now, again, every autoresponder system is going to be different. So this is the way it looks inside of GetResponse. You're going to need to do the same process inside of Aweber or Constant Contact, but you'll need to find out what the automation process is for your autoresponder system. Right? This is the way it's done in GetResponse. It's not going to look the same way inside of yours unless you're using GetResponse. Aweber is pretty similar if you find the automation. So again, all you're doing is removing someone from a prospect list as soon as they become part of your buyers list. Now, I have here, you want to set up automation rules for additional offers and lists, including affiliate offers if possible. Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is you want to have people taken off the prospect list. You're going to do this as many times as you can. So in other words, anything that happens, you want to have someone removed from your prospect list when an action occurs. Now, you're going to need to do this several times, but you only have to do it once, right? So anytime you create a new list that somebody who is on your prospect list could become part of, you want to make sure you go through this automation process to have them removed from the prospect list. Any new list you set up, have the prospect removed from the prospect list. Because what we're going to do with the prospect list is we're going to continue to add emails, right? Now, let's say that we get done with this series, right? Let's say the five-day series ends. Well, we don't want to just leave it at 5 days. We're going to assume then that if they haven't purchased anything, we want to continue to market to them. So what are we going to do? We're going to add in emails and we're going to automate them so that everybody who becomes part of our prospect list will continue to get emails until when? Until they actually buy something. Okay, so if that makes sense to you, please put the number 5 in the question box. If it doesn't make sense, please let me know. Okay. All right, so now what you're going to do, you're now set up inside of your autoresponder to send broadcast messages. All right, so I'm going to leave this here. And what we would do here is we would go to our buyers list. Inside of Get Response, we're going to then create a newsletter. Now, the format's going to be the same, but this is going to be your broadcast email. These are going to be emails that you're going to be sending to people, doing promotions, telling them about training you have, and pretty much what you're going to be sending to them on a daily basis. Those are going to be your newsletters. Now, that, again, that's what they're called in Get Response. They could be called something different in your autoresponder, but you are now ready to start sending broadcast messages, right? And finally, what you want to do is you want to try to keep your prospects on your sequence and keep your buyers on a broadcast. Now, again, if you set this up right from the beginning, it's going to work. And again, most people don't get this set up right from the beginning. And so they end up having to send broadcast messages to prospects as well as buyers. Now, again, if you can keep people who are purely prospects on an automated sequence until they become off, you're going to have better tracking and you're going to start your online business correctly, right, from your PLR.